"We're taking your lake house for the summer." That single text appeared on my screen early one Tuesday morning. It was from my sister Skylar in the family group chat. My steaming coffee cooled instantly as the replies poured in. Hearts, likes, and excited emojis filled the chat. Relatives were celebrating her announcement as if they had won a prize. Not a single person bothered to check with me first. Their sense of entitlement was obvious, cleverly disguised as casual assumption. I stared at the glass blankly, keeping my face neutral and my pulse steady. They must have expected my usual silence. That morning, however, something shifted deep within me. I let a small smile slip and set my mug down. I murmured, "Fine, we'll play this game." Hi, this is Hot Revenge, the channel with real life and unique stories. My name is Ariel Hayes, and I am 34. Just a year ago, people knew me as the quiet one. Most of my adult life had been spent avoiding confrontation and working hard to preserve harmony. I was the dependable child who never stirred trouble. I currently hold a senior data analyst position at a major Boston bank. My work demands logic, precision, and focus. My apartment in the city is minimalist, tidy, and perfectly organized. Every file, every cabinet is in order. When the chaos of Boston became overwhelming, I drove 3 hours north to my cabin in the Lake Winniposki region of New Hampshire. I had purchased it 6 years ago entirely on my own, after a career promotion that my family didn't acknowledge. The cabin is white with blue trim, facing calm waters and tall pines that sway gently in the wind. The scent of cedar and rain lingers in the air. Sometimes, the morning mist is so thick it feels like the world has vanished. At the lake, I finally breathe freely. There are no demands, no deadlines, no family obligations, only quiet. My mother, father, Skylar, and her husband Dean live 6 hours away in the Philadelphia suburbs. Skylar is 31, married, loud, impulsive, and tends to dominate every space she enters. She was always the favorite growing up. Mother often excused Skylar's behavior by saying, "She's a free spirit, honey. You're the practical one." Practical, in her phrasing, meant insignificant. Father rarely interfered. He wasn't unkind, but he chose avoidance, confusing distance with affection. As kids, Skylar got brand new bicycles while I repaired mine repeatedly with tape. If she damaged something, I was blamed for leaving it within reach. By age 15, I had stopped fighting. Disappearing was easier than confronting. Once I earned a solid salary, I began quietly helping them financially, repairing broken washers, assisting with home deposits, or covering the cost when Skylar's car was repossessed. They called it support, never offering repayment. Lending them a spare key to my lake house seemed harmless after I bought it. I imagined peaceful family weekends, barbecues by the water with my mother. They used the place sometimes, mostly Skylar and Dean. I liked being the capable one who could make things happen. But my kindness slowly morphed into expectation. The last time I visited for Skylar's birthday in April, the familiar routine unfolded. I brought a luxury skincare gift she once mentioned. Skylar screamed with delight, hugged me, then immediately launched into news of her promotion, their kitchen renovation, and Dean's new car. My parents beamed, hanging on every word. When Mother finally asked, "How is work, dear?" I opened my mouth, only to be interrupted. "You should see my new office, it's huge," Skylar exclaimed. Everyone laughed. I smiled quietly, though resentment churned inside. It wasn't jealousy, it was anger at being so easily overlooked. While clearing dinner dishes, Skylar asked, "So, what's the plan for your place in New Hampshire this summer?" I gave the usual reply. Some private time, maybe host friends, perhaps lease it. She tilted her head, grinned carelessly, and said, "That's great." Her tone immediately raised suspicion. Mother and father exchanged a brief look I didn't catch. The next morning, I drove back to Boston, the cold air rushing through the open windows. I tried to shrug off the alienation I had felt at dinner. As the city skyline approached, a thought repeated, Perhaps I existed solely as a reliable resource, someone to be used without asking. 2 weeks later, the text appeared. That single sentence in the family chat escalated everything. I was at my desk on a Thursday morning, buried in a financial report, when the message came. "We're taking your lake house for the summer," my sister wrote, punctuated with an exclamation mark and a sunshine emoji. I froze. My screen glowed like fireworks. Mother reacted first, sending a heart. Father followed with a thumbs up. Aunt Carol wrote, "Oh, how delightful." Uncle Dave added, "Can't wait to go fishing again." Cousins piled on, smiling, mapping out weekend visits. Within 2 minutes, the entire extended family had planned their vacation at my home. No one asked. No one acknowledged my ownership. I typed back, "Actually, I already have plans to stay there this June. Please check with me before arranging anything." Skylar's reply was immediate. "Don't be selfish. It's just family." Mother interjected, "Everyone just ignore that message. She'll calm down." Then followed a torrent of texts, lecturing me on family sharing, how I'd changed, and the need to relax. I stared at the flood of notifications until the words blurred. I wasn't angry yet, just numb. My silence had always been treated as consent. Perhaps it once was. But that morning, a profound stillness settled inside me. Liam, my boyfriend, called during lunch. "Are you okay?" he asked. I recounted everything, the group chat, the entitlement, the casual disregard. He listened patiently, as always. Finally he asked, "So, what exactly are you planning to do?" For the first time, I knew the answer. "I think I'm going to let them see who I really am." That night, I went through old text conversations, years of small favors, quick money transfers, and gentle thank yous that never meant anything. Every, "Could you help us just this once?" and "You're the best," now felt hollow. I finally understood it wasn't gratitude at all, but an assumption of ownership disguised as affection. By midnight, I was packing my apartment in the dark, my phone glowing beside me. Their latest message sat at the top of the screen. "You are being ridiculous." The words burned behind my eyes. I thought of the lake house, the warm porch lights, the scent of pine, the quiet mornings I had created for myself. Then I imagined them stomping through it, treating it as though it belonged to them. Sleep was impossible. Around 2 in the morning, I opened my laptop and searched for local home security installation services. This wasn't revenge fueled by rage. It was calm, deliberate logic. For the first time, I wasn't trying to keep the peace. I was setting a boundary. When dawn arrived, I brewed coffee, stared out at the city skyline, and whispered, "Let's begin." They assumed I would back down. They expected me to ignore it. They had no idea my silence was about to become a weapon. I requested 2 personal days from work and drove to the lake before the sun fully rose. The roads were empty, mist curling over the asphalt like ghosts. When the trees parted to reveal the water, the tightness in my chest finally loosened for the first time in weeks. That property had always been my refuge. Now it would be my declaration. I started with the locks. A local locksmith named Matteo arrived before noon. He was friendly at first, but quieted when he saw my expression. "Family problems?" he asked gently. "Something like that," I replied. He didn't press. By the time he left, every door and window had brand new locks, and I held the only keys. Next came the security system. 2 technicians installed motion-activated cameras covering the driveway, porch, and dock. I watched as they drilled, wired, and synced everything with practiced efficiency. When they handed me the control app, a solid sense of control settled over me. That evening, I sat on the porch steps with a notebook and listed every financial contribution I had ever made. The washing machine, car insurance payments, medical bills. Each line confirmed how thoroughly they had trained me to meet their needs. At the bottom of the page, I wrote one sentence. "This stops now." Before leaving, I walked through the house one last time. The kitchen still smelled faintly of pine cleaner and coffee. Sunlight poured through the glass doors in the main room, reflecting off the lake. I pictured my sister throwing those doors open like she owned the place, my parents laughing, everyone congratulating themselves on securing another free family getaway. The image didn't hurt. It sharpened me. I locked the door and drove back toward Boston, watching the lake house shrink in my rearview mirror. That weekend, the family group chat buzzed non-stop with plans. They debated playlists, assigned sleeping arrangements, and coordinated groceries. I stayed completely silent. Sunday night, Liam leaned against my kitchen counter while I checked the live security feeds. "You're really doing this," he said. "It's already done," I replied. He smiled, clearly proud. "Then let them learn." I nodded and closed my laptop. Outside, the city hummed indifferently. Inside, I felt calm. I didn't need to confront them. I only needed patience. By late May, the chat surged again. "We're all heading up to the lake house tomorrow," my sister announced. "Who's bringing what?" Responses flooded in. Aunt Carol promised wine. Father packed his fishing rods. Mother volunteered her famous potato salad. Emojis burst like confetti. I sat at my kitchen table, coffee cooling beside me, laptop open. I watched without emotion. I had already checked the security system twice that morning. Everything was armed. All locks secured. I knew exactly how this would unfold. Liam glanced over from the couch. "Ready?" he asked. I smiled softly. I had never been more ready. The next morning was bright and ordinary. I worked remotely, emails on one screen, security feed on the other. Around noon, movement appeared in the corner of the camera. A silver SUV rolled up the gravel drive, dust rising behind it. My sister and her husband climbed out first, sunglasses on, beach bags in hand. My parents followed in their sedan, then another car carrying Aunt Carol and Uncle Dave. Laughter filled the yard. Doors slammed. Voices echoed. My sister jogged toward the front door, spare keys jangling triumphantly. "Got it," she called out. I zoomed in. She tried the lock. It didn't turn. She frowned and tried again, twisting harder. Nothing. Her husband stepped forward and tested his key. Same result. Confusion rippled through the group. Nervous whispers replaced laughter. Then Skylar's voice sharpened. "Ariel must have changed the locks." Father stepped closer, sunlight catching his gray hair. "Maybe she just misplaced the old keys," he offered. But his face froze as he noticed the camera mounted above the door. One by one, they all followed his gaze. Mother squinted upward. Aunt Carol muttered under her breath. Skylar stepped back, hands on her hips. "Is she seriously recording us?" My phone began vibrating immediately. Mother. Skylar. Dean. I ignored them all. The family chat lit up again. Skylar demanded I let them in. Mother asked how I could treat my own family this way. Father reminded me they'd driven 6 hours. Aunt Carol called it absurd. I typed slowly, carefully choosing each word. "If you attempt to force entry, the alarm will trigger. The police will be notified. You will be arrested for trespassing." I hit send. On the live feed, they froze simultaneously, pulling out their phones. I watched my message appear in their chat bubbles. Realization spread across their faces like a slow-moving sickness. Confusion, then shock, then sudden fear. My sister dropped her phone, bending to retrieve it with trembling hands. Mother pressed a hand to her chest. Father's jaw tightened. Aunt Carol muttered something that made my sister's husband recoil. Liam leaned over my shoulder. They got the message. The front yard on the feed dissolved into chaos. Wild gestures, overlapping accusations, furious body language families use when they lose authority. I could almost hear the excuses and self-justifications forming faster than reason. Then came the silence I had been waiting for. Mother looked directly into the camera. I met her eyes through the pixelated lens. She mouthed a question I couldn't hear, but I knew it well. How could you? For the first time, I felt no guilt, only clarity. After about 15 minutes of arguing among themselves, they began to retreat. Bags were dropped in frustration. Coolers shoved roughly back into trunks. Doors slammed. One by one, the vehicles backed out, tires crunching the gravel until only dust and pine needles remained. I closed my laptop. Liam exhaled slowly beside me. That was perfect. I smiled. No shouting, no fighting. Just the simple truth. That evening, my phone rang. Mother's number flashed on the screen. I let it ring twice before answering. Her voice was sharp, unsteady. How could you do this, Ariel? To your own family. I gave you a warning, I said calmly. It is my private property. You cannot claim it because you feel entitled. You are being cruel, she countered. No, I corrected her. I am being unambiguous. From now on, you will handle your own expenses. I am finished funding this family's comfort. Silence, then a shaky. You don't mean that. I do. Every single word. I hung up. That night, I accessed my banking app and cancelled all recurring transfers. Money to my parents, my sister's car insurance, Aunt Carol's medical bills. Each cancellation felt like dropping a heavy chain. The following days brought a storm of calls and messages. At first, fury. You are destroying this family. Then guilt. We just wanted time together. Finally, half-hearted apologies. Maybe we went too far. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The next week, I drove back to the lake house. The air was fresh, undisturbed. Inside, everything was exactly as I had left it. Quiet, tidy, mine. I opened the porch doors, letting the breeze flow through the house. The water shimmered under the late spring sun. For 2 weeks, I lived exactly as I had always wanted. Mornings on the dock with coffee, afternoons reading, evenings watching the sunset fade behind the trees. No phone calls, no guilt. Every sound was sharper, the rustling pines, the hum of the refrigerator, even my own breathing. Peace felt tangible, finally real. One evening, reviewing the security footage from that day, I paused on my sister's face. Frozen between recognition and disbelief, the instant she realized she had lost control. I neither smiled nor took pleasure. I reflected on all the years that led to that expression. The dismissive laughter, the endless assurances that I'd come around. This was the first time I hadn't. Liam visited that weekend. He stood beside me on the porch, hands in pockets, gazing at the lake. Do you think they'll ever understand? He asked. Perhaps, I said. But it doesn't matter if they do. He nodded silently. We watched the light disappear over the water. The air cooled for the first time in my life. The silence wasn't a burden. It felt earned. Summer passed quietly. My family made no attempt to visit again. The calls slowed, then stopped. One evening, I deleted the group chat with a simple swipe. Initially strange, the quiet soon became deeply comforting. My performance at work improved sharply. My focus was sharper than ever. Miss Kennedy, my boss, commented one morning, "You seem lighter. Keep doing whatever you're doing." Liam and I spent weekends at the lake, just the two of us, enjoying coffee and slow mornings without interruptions. Sometimes I checked the camera feeds, not from anxiety, but as a reminder that I had learned to protect my peace. Months later, Mother sent a text. "We would like to talk. Maybe we can try starting over." I thought long and hard, then replied simply, "Not yet." For the first time, refusing didn't hurt. It felt truthful. The people who had once drained me no longer ran my life. My life might not be loud, but every quiet second was mine. When I looked over the lake that night, its surface perfectly mirrored the sky. That alone was enough. A year later, everything had changed. I was promoted to senior data analyst. Liam and I were planning our wedding. My family had learned to manage without my financial help. I had learned to live without needing their approval. When Mother called on my birthday, her voice was careful, softer. We spoke politely, like distant acquaintances. That was sufficient. The lake house remains my sanctuary. The locks are changed. The cameras continue their silent watch. Some might call this vigilance paranoia. I call it peace. I've realized one crucial thing. Boundaries are not cruelty, they are clarity. Love does not mean sacrificing yourself to be exploited. It means safeguarding the part of you no one else ever valued. If you've ever had to draw the line between duty and self-respect, share your story. You are not alone. And if you want to hear more stories like this, hit subscribe.